the next meat of the conversation, we're going to go into the types of men. These are categories of men. As always, ladies, I want to leave you with the gift, the good stuff, something you can take away and use in your life for sex, dating, and relationships. That's why your boy's here. I'm big bro, and I got you. So with this, I want to give you an understanding so you can immediately qualify and categorize these men to know who you're dealing with. Doesn't mean it's game over. It doesn't mean it's a waste of time necessarily, but maybe it's a yellow flag. Maybe it's a red flag. Maybe you need to be on alert and looking out for something that may be lurking beneath the surface, or you just need to look a bit closer. Why? I'll tell you. I always tell you, ladies, divine feminine, you as the feminine partner. Let me give you the disclaimer that this is going to be for the ladies, my ladies, who want to embrace and flow in the divine feminine energy. That is what I help my clients with. That is what my work is all about. Looking for, in our standard, MGM standard, mature, grounded, masculine men. So that being the dance of yin and yang, that being the balance that's at play here, if that is appropriate to you, you are in the right place. So with that, the men that you want to categorize and understand, you'll have this in the back of your mind so that when you're dating, you know who you're dealing with, what you're looking out for, and how to proceed, we'll say. All right? So first and foremost, types of men you're going to interact with. If he knows himself and owns it, this is going to be the cream of the crop. This is going to be the most straightforward, the most honest, whichever way they sway, whether they need a lot, whether they need more than one woman, whatever the case. One thing you are going to deal with, if he knows himself and he owns it, is that he's honest, is that he's transparent. This is going to be the least amount of bullshit, and most likely the only one of these categories you will find in MGM man, mature, grounded, masculine. These men are the standard and will be responsible for what they create and with whom. These men have standards. These men have expectations. These men have a bar, regardless, again, of what they need, whether they've sold their oats, whether they're monogamous, non-monogamous, ready to settle down, all the cases. When you're dealing with these men, it's just communication. It's just honest, transparent communication. And they're going to be able to respond with everything they create in their life and with who. I want you to hear that, so I said it twice. You may not always like it. Let's be clear about that. I'm not saying just because it's at the top that it's going to be all roses. But he will make it easy for you to know and understand all matters. Why? Because he wants you to choose. He understands the game. Masculine leads, feminine follows. He understands the dance of this yin and yang. He is very mature in that way, and he understands as he transparently makes you aware of how his life works, how he operates, what his modalities are, what his requirements are, expectations are. He's going to give you all the information that you need to allow you to cast your vote. You can play or you can stay exactly where you are. This is why I say you want to categorize and look for a man like this first, because it makes it open, honest, transparent. There's no guesswork. There's no surprises coming around on the back end. So when you're 5, 10 years, hell, 1 year into the game, when things settle down, when things get complacent because of whatever you and your partner have created, when kids come into the mix, when health concerns are there, all these factors of life, all these ages, stages, places, this is real life shit, people. If you don't think about this, then just thinking about the high school puppy love, men cheat, men are dogs, like, yeah, that's a simplistic way to look at it. But I want to give you all the information. I want to give you everything to take in consideration. Because again, we're talking about the first upper echelon, the first category of men. He's straightforward. He's honest. He knows himself. He's a one-woman committed type of man. And he is a man. You are signing up to be the first lady, the first line of defense, the one who is most responsible. And as I always say, relationships are an exchange. They are transactional. If he doesn't show up with the goods that you need as a masculine man, he's resourceful. He's a leader. He steps up. He can provide. He can lead you. He can guide you. He can break it down and bless you down when you need it. If he's not providing the exchange of that, you wouldn't be with him. He would not qualify. You have your standards just like he has his. So understanding with this exchange, if you go and get with a man, understanding that the man has a drive, you have a desire, you have to be responsible that this monogamous, committed man who is there for you, who may not cheat unless pushed to it, unless left to a last resort situation. Again, I'm trying to give you all the explanations of why men cheat. If you're not on your job, if you're not taking care of this, no different than, and I'm going to touch on it later, but no different than there's always been the reasoning, the excuse, the understanding, the compassion for women. I hadn't been touched, I hadn't been held, he doesn't give me affection, attention, and all the other reason. I was just led into the arms of, hey, I'm not making it wrong. I'm also not making excuses, because again, we're equal, just a little different. Just because we got to rewire a couple of things, just because some plumbing's different, doesn't mean that everything that applies to one side doesn't apply to the other side of the coin. You've got to do your due diligence, ladies, to assure that you can manage the gap in your libido. Again, you can't predict it for the all of life. Keep that in the back of your head, because there may be a point where you crank up and he turns down, vice versa, whatever the case may be. But should that happen, it's all on you. If you're agreeing to commit to a man monogamously, you and him, then yes, that is part of it. Your desire has to fit his need, or that gap. Be aware of what you may have to sprinkle in the mix to make that work as life goes on. This is another man who knows himself and owns it. The other side of the coin I mentioned earlier. He's non-monogamous. I want to be responsible inside of when I say that phrase, because not a lot of people are educated around it. There is no staple framework for non-monogamy. That's created between partners. Whoever is involved knows exactly how those terms work. Why is that? We'll go into it in a hot second. But as far as this man, he values his morals, his beliefs, his integrity. Again, these men know themselves and they own it. So he's not going to show up hiding anything. He's not going to show up being less than transparent. He's not going to show up withholding anything. He wants you to know, again, so that you can make your choice, so that you can be down or move around. No time to waste for him or yourself. Now, with that, inside of, like I said, non-monogamy, there's polyamorous, multiple partners. Poly, short phrase. Now you hear with that, multiple partners. I'm not saying that just to be politically correct or to include everybody. I'm saying that because that specifically does not distinguish what it looks like. It just means that there are multiple partners. Because again, inside of non-monogamy, you're going to create that with him as a partner directly. Now, polygamy versus, say, polyandry. Polygamy is actually having multiple wives. That's a distinct version of non-monogamy. It is not polyamory. It is distinctly one man, multiple wives. The other side of that, polyandry, one woman, multiple husbands. If that's your conversation, I'm sure you've done your research and know about that. But I just want to clarify, because like I say, if you hear these tags, titles, if you hear poly, doesn't mean everything that you think it means. If you hear polygamy, it doesn't mean everything you think it means. If you hear non-monogamy, that's a blanket to cover anything. Anything that is not monogamy. Some people call it monogamish, swingers, hall passes, all kinds of situations. Anything that's not monogamy. Just you, just me, it steps into that bracket, and that's everything else under the sun. Some people, right, the infidelity as far as that emotional aspect is just having friends. Have a guy that has a girl, best friend, whatever. For some people, that's enough cheating. That's not monogamy. That is in the category monogamish. So I'm giving you the whole spectrum. You take it, put it in your box, and calculate how you need to. Same thing with him. You've got to do your due diligence to assure that you can handle what life looks like. This doesn't put all the pressure on you, but especially inside of a non-monogamous lifestyle, you're going to be introduced and exposed to a lot of healthy relationship tools. I say that, not trying to sway you in any direction. One thing about monogamy is it allows us, no matter who you are, what you believe in, it allows us to go on a principle that is fairly simple. And so by that, I mean there's not much gray area. Inside of non-monogamy, you have to actually take on conversations for compersion, feeling happiness for your partner irrelevant of what it feels for you. You have to take on jealousy, something that you want that someone else has. You have to take on envy, something of yours that someone else has. Jealousy is completely natural, completely normal. A non-monogamous man can still feel jealous. However, maturity to understand, what does that actually mean? See, these are the conversations that get to us. This is why your man's childhood friend gets on your nerves. This is why your man can't stand the men that are in your life for whatever reason. Friend of the family, trusted advisor, blah, blah, blah. These deeper conversations for how we relate, our villages have changed. Our practices have changed. Our spirituality, our religion, our sexuality, all these things are changing. And when you take on life as simply square pegs, round holes, if you get what I'm saying, everything needs to fit, you miss so much more of relationship. Matter of fact, I'll tell you attachment theory. Inside of monogamy, there's not much reason until you step into therapy, get into the psychology of it and healthy relating. There's not much reason to take on attachment theory. That is something very deep ingrained in all of us from the moment you're fucking born. Parents, like, this has nothing to do with relationships. It's how you map onto the world, how you see life, how you see relationships, how you see being loved. And when I say relationships, again, platonic, familial, professional, all of them have some level of attachment. So especially when it comes to your romantic partner, the conversations you will get involved in inside of a non-monogamous dynamic will have you expand yourself inside of relationships and actually take on the things that get in your way. Again, not perpetuating anything. I'm trying to deepen the water that you swim in, get you comfortable with these principles and distinctions so you can look into it for yourself. I'm just giving you the tools. I'm just big bro. Now moving along, that's the first category, the man who knows himself and owns himself. If he knows himself, he hides himself. Yeah, this is where it gets a little mud, dirty, gray area. All right. These men want what they want. They have a drive, right? There's a foundation. I understand, a little compassion for it, but they want what they want, and they want the easy way. Not dealing with it until they get caught or the shit hits the fan. This is where you run. Honestly and truly, because I'll tell you the biggest thing, ladies, before I even get into what I've got on the script here, how you do anything is how you do everything. MGM, mature, grounded, masculine man. If you're here, that's what you're looking for. And if you're dealing with a man like this, he knows himself, but he's got to hide it. What does that sound like? Nice guy. He knows what he actually wants. I want you to bust it down. I want to see that ass. I want to see what them lips can do. I want to see what you're talking about. I want you in my life. Hi, how are you doing? You okay? Oh, you like that stuff too? Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, you don't like that? No, I don't like that. He hides himself. It's just not a man. It's not something I can respect. I say that that's the guys, that's the males, that's the little boys, the YNs, all the things. I gave you the video last, was it the men to avoid? So just the principle of it, that he hides who he is that a man, ladies, that you want as your leader? Is that a man, ladies, that you want to be following? He is literally creating. He's not a dictator, but he is creating. He's giving you experiences, giving you life to live into. He has, as a man, mature, grounded, masculine man, he has to be able to respond to the shit that he creates, children, relationships, business, every way that he serves the market, the community, the world. He has to be responsible for that. A man who has to hide himself. How we do anything is how we do everything. It will collapse. So be warned, beware, get the fuck out, run. That's the first thing I've got to tell you just right off bat. If he's not in that first category, knows himself and owns it, you may not like him. Cool, go find another one. But still, that's something to be respected. We're dropping the bar here. It just is what it is, right, YouTube? If that's the case, there's going to be some subcategories you can deal with that you can categorize and figure where does he show up as. First and foremost, serial cheaters. He does not have the character to resist or commit to being faithful. He lacks the maturity to walk away or create what works. Again, that's that first category. Monogamous, non-monogamous, doesn't matter. If he can own himself, then he can create it. But he doesn't have the character for that. He lacks the maturity for that. This is the type of man, as soon as things get deep, as soon as things get hard, as soon as emotions are involved, as soon as your feelings are involved, and I don't just mean like you're catching feelings. I mean, what you said upset me. What you did bothered me. Oh, here you is. He can't handle it. He does not have the maturity. He does not have the emotional intelligence, said another way. Or he's already balancing some other things in the background because, again, serial cheater. This is just his lifestyle. Who else shows up like this? I already told you about the nice guys, and this kind of is in that blanket category, the little boys. Yep. He'll hide. He'll run from the responsibility of his commitments, of his actions. He goes out, finds a relationship. Why? Because he's neglected, because he's got that attachment theory, putting you on game. And he needs to feel love. He needs to have someone there. He needs to have mama. He needs to have somebody, whatever the case may be. I'm not getting into the psychology, but this is why he operates that way. Once he's there, he's in too deep because he's a little boy. Here's a perfect example, right? When we grow up as kids, maybe you got to sit on your dad's lap. You know, back in the day, that was the example. Just sitting there, you know what the hell you're doing. But you just had your hands on the wheel, turning some big-ass steering wheel. Mind you, you're a kid. That's the whole context. This little boy doesn't grasp the vehicle that he's driving and steering down the road. And now he's got you over in the passenger side. And oh shit, there's traffic. He doesn't know how to read the signs, read the road. He can't reach the gas pedal. He's never touched a clutch. Oh, fuck, what are we doing? Right into a wall. This is the little boy. He'll hide and run from the responsibility of his commitments. He created it. He said it. He asked for it. I'll tell you why. He's going off of the map, which is not the territory. He's going off of Disney movies. He's going off of love and happily ever after. He's going off of some of the stories and shit that you've been told. But he's not ready to step into the world of masculinity, manhood, responsibility, of what it takes to actually make that shit run. He operates as if an alter ego in the shadows. Ooh, ladies, this is why I started my work. The boys club, me time. What was it? Mike Epps had the skit talking about when his boys get out there. Oh, how you doing, fellas? I hear from you later. Yep, keeping it all good. Good to see you. All right, all right. That nigga ain't like that. Seeing when he with his boys. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, there we go. All right, that's what we get into. It's a whole other program. This man is hiding. He is a little boy. And that boys club is bullshit. Me time. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone does need a little me time. You just have to be mindful. How they do anything is how we do everything. We'd have to have another topic on that. I'm not going to have you, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. But you just got to be aware. If he's the type to operate differently. And how do you tell that? Same way I tell the men. If the men in his circle operate that way. If you know they're doing dirt. If you know when they're with their lady, they're one way. When you see them out on their own, it's a whole nother story. And maybe he knows about those stories. What type of circles is he running with? That is his wolf pack. So something to keep in mind. He's ignorant or doesn't believe it's possible to be honest and be loved. See, this is where I really want to explain, because I'm not necessarily just saying men are the problem. Men will always cheat. No, there's layers to this shit. And you can't categorize all men as one, two, or even multiple men that you've experienced. Where is that man in his life? Where is that man in his maturity? Where is that man in his journey? Where is that man in his masculinity? And in that, the cognition, the immaturity of the little boy, he does not understand, because he's only seen the map, the model, or I said the map is not the territory. He's only seen that love, marriage, relationships looks like this. And he hasn't bothered to be a man and own himself, to ask the questions, to go and experience life, to risk what he needs to risk, if that's the case, to go and build and create the life that he wants. Operating under that philosophy, yes, he's going to be out here and be deceitful. Yes, he's going to be a serial cheater. Yes, he's going to run away from any responsibility to the commitments that he makes, for the lies, the words, the stories, whatever he tells you. He's going to run away from that because he can't handle it. And when it comes time to sow those seeds, you know what you're dealing with. Now, this last category, it's straight murky, all right? If he doesn't know himself and he does what he's told, I knew I saved it somewhere, AKA, this is the nice guy, ladies. He's likely a nice guy. He's a good man, a good human being, a good soul, good spirit. And the one you've chosen as yours to follow as a partner. That's just where we are. Just get the facts out. Now, the thing to be aware of, and this is what you want to look for yourself. And I say this, ladies, speaking to you, if you know, you know. And ladies, I believe you know. You've been peeping social dynamics, social games since you became through puberty. You've had it tossed at you. The advances, the offerings, the men, the dick, all of it has been tossed your way. You know who's who, what's what, truth is truth, and when a man shows up. So to that, you know also the triggers of things that attract you. And a man who does not have the experience stands out. Does not know what he's doing, stands out. So I'm not going to talk to you like you don't know this already. He hasn't experienced sowing his oats or getting his fill of feminine in order to be living in abundance. Why is that important? Because a man with abundance, a man with options, a man with experience, a man who knows himself is going to choose the woman and partner that works for him. He's going to have standards. He's not going to go by the nice guy alibi, I got lucky. He's going to choose. Maybe he did get lucky, you coming into his life. It's not lucky as in I got laid. Not lucky as in, oh, I got lucky somebody likes me. Completely different. But now, sticking to his script, the nice guy. He has no taste and preferences. So with that, he'll be desperate. Ladies, ain't it just the worst thing when you find out your man, who you thought was a good man, cheats, and it's like, you risked it for that? For that though? Really? I mean, God bless her, child of God, but you had this over here, filet mignon, and you grabbed some steak. Now, we talked about his needs. And if he's this nice guy, he's been hiding, doesn't know himself, doesn't know how to own himself. But again, I'm giving you the philosophy. These are the wheels that are spinning up here. This is how he thinks. This is how things are going. Now, with that, I talked about getting lucky really perfect, because for this nice guy, for this guy we're talking about that doesn't know himself and is only doing what he's told, he's haphazardly wound up in a relationship by chance. That's a cat that's getting lucky. Dumb luck simply because he hasn't been intentional in mastering his conversations about women and sex. This is the type of man that is run by corn, OnlyFans, Instagram, double tapping the hearts and everything. Why is that? Because he hasn't had the experience. He hasn't had the exposure. So with that, he's not the type of man to take it on for himself. If I'm going to want sex, if I'm going to want women, I'm going to need to take this on. I'm going to need to go out there and slay some dragons. Conquer within himself is what I'm talking about. That's what he's slaying. And if he doesn't do that work, then yeah, he's going to get by. He may get lucky. You may be coming down on a down spiral of the market and just looking for somebody safe, something secure, best option that's around. And you'll end up with a guy like this. And he'll take advantage just like you'll take advantage. The things you want to look out for, because it'd be no surprise if he cheats, who were you dealing with? He's only as loyal as his options, which fortunately is low with this lack of experience, with this lack of exposure. Now keep in mind, as you get added to him, social proof, you know it, ladies, a man is more attractive when he's got women with him. Other women want him. So for the same regard. Now with that, it is fortunate that his options are low. It's less likely he's going to get to cheat on you because he doesn't get lucky. However, unfortunately, this is a roll of the dice, because if and when the season happens, see, masculinity, it builds, it accumulates. So 5, 10, 15 years down the road, he might get a little swag. He might actually take on his health, might actually take on his mouthpiece. He might go accomplish some things. He might get some confidence. He might come to know himself before it's too late in life. And if and when that happens in that season and he is tested, will he do the right thing? I don't know. Roll on the dice. He's never been tested. He doesn't know himself. He doesn't know what it's like to have options. He is a fish out of water at that point. So your guess is as good as mine in whether or not he'll be loyal and faithful. Those are the categories of men that you can flag men inside of. Would love to let you know, over on the Stand Store, check out the book, The Dance. Really talking about the modern world of sex, dating, and relationships, giving you all of my advice, all of my strategies for attaining and maintaining is the biggest thing, because this is in the space of relationship. That's where infidelity, I mean a real relationship, where the infidelity, where the cheating comes up, giving you all the tools to have that transparent, honest conversation. I talked about all the things. It's not a book on non-monogamy, but the context of the conversations you haven't addressed unless you've taken on non-monogamy or you've been led to it, which I'm trying to do right now, but that's inside of that book. The Dance will give you everything you need to know about sex, dating, and relationships. In the meantime, I'm going to be right here. Wish you the best and only success, being the best version of myself. One could say, beyond empowered. Let them know, YouTube. The question is, ladies, who are you going to be?